What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Keep It Hoop YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about James Harden and a little bit of a breakdown. I don't want to go too into the detail. I know you guys all know how good of a player he is, but I wanted to just look at some of the things the Nets are running, but also just talk about their season so far, or at least as of late, and just how well they're playing. They are, I believe, 9-1 in their last 10 games at 23-13. There's half a game back of the Sixers for that first place in the conference. And the most impressive part is that 9-1 record in their last 10, I'm I believe KD's only played in one of those. So Kyrie's been playing well, Bruce Brown's been playing well. They even got guys like Nicholas Claxton who played all right last night. And a lot of it is on James Harden. And he has somehow, after playing not his best basketball in Houston and kind of looking out of it and uninterested, and I called him out for that, but somehow he has gotten himself into the MVP conversation. And if he can continue to play this way, and that is a big if because, once they get KD back, his numbers should start to fall a bit. And you always have the scenario where voters are going to have to not punish him, but they are going to vote for him or take into the account that he is playing with two other superstars. So he might lose votes there. That being said, I do think he has a chance to win it. The favorites are probably still Embiid, LeBron, and Jokic, and guys like Steph and Dame under. But Harden's definitely in that conversation with how well he's been playing and how well the team has been playing recently. So, I mean, at this point in the season, he's averaging 25, 11, and 7.7 rebounds. I think he's leading the league in assists um, and minutes per game. And he's been very efficient, which I think is, he's known to be a high volume shooter, at least in Houston, and took some bad shots. But I think he's done a better job in Brooklyn of just trusting his teammates overall. And I don't know if this is a case where he trusts Brooklyn more or he learned his mistakes in Houston, but I feel like and of course he's still an ISO player and he likes to have the ball in his hands, but I think he's done a better job of being an offense facilitator and not just a playmaker in the sense of getting assists. And I think he gets the ball out a bit more quickly. I think he gets things a bit more in the flow of the offense. And it does help when he's reuniting with a guy like Mike D'Antoni, who coached him for all those years in Houston. And he's also now united with Steve Nash, who, despite James Harden's greatness as a guard, a playmaker, a scorer, you play under a coach like Steve Nash and say what you want about him as a coach, but you get to play under a guy who was one of the most cerebral players of all time. There's definitely things you can pick up and learn from. So I'm sure that has helped as well. But yeah, I just love the way Harden's playing. Not only the numbers, but as well just the way he's played, and that's not something I was always able to say when he was playing in Houston. So, we'll look at some of the game tape. This is going to be from his most recent game in San Antonio last night. A pretty thrilling win. Um, the step back three you see there, the ISO three. That's something that's always going to be in his repertoire, in his bag. But a lot of the passing and playmaking comes from his ability to do things like that, right? Because even on this delayed fast break, you see the attention he gets, right? And all he has to do is stop and look at the basket. But when he does that, there are now, well, let's count this out, right? One guy stops, Lonnie Walker's looking, DeJounte Murray's looking, and I believe this is Trey Lyles. Even Trey Lyles are looking, right? So four guys are paying attention to James Harden, right? And then that leaves Nicholas Claxton, who is the kind of new age rim running athletic big, wide open here, right? And with just you see the amount of space that he gets here, um, right, just off of again James Harden, stopping and looking at the rim, right? Because they don't want to give up that shot. Obviously, in the scouting report, or when you're game planning for a game like this, you try to tell your team to make Tyler Johnson and Landry Shamet and Joe Harris and Nicholas Claxton beat you. And the problem with James Harden is he's such a cerebral player himself and a good passer that um, he'll a lot of times, or at least when he's playing his best basketball like he is now, he'll just take what you give him. And Trey Lyles, he tries hard. He's a solid defender, but he got whatever he wanted last night against him. And again, when that happens, they have to bring even more help. And that leads to even more easy opportunities like this, right? Because if you know a guy's just able to always just consistently get past this guy, there's just so much pressure on the defense because you know you're gonna have to bring help and you have to be so on point with your communication and rotations. And Claxton, and again, an athletic guy like that is able to just live at the rim. This was a really nice play overall. I liked it a lot. It's I think Bruce Brown did a really nice job here of sealing his guy, and this is something that a lot of even bigs don't do a great job of doing. It's really annoying when you're a guard and you're trying to make a pass to a big or just a cutter, and you put it in a place where they can get it, but they're not good at sealing, so the defender is able to get the steal. And there's a lot of times where you as the guard looks bad, but and I know you're supposed to put the ball where only your guy can get it, but if he's not sealing, it doesn't make it a lot easier for the defender to reach over. So Bruce Brown here does a really nice job, and you can see the offhand, right? He's just doing a really nice job of making sure that his defender sealed out. And then Harden again makes a pass to a place where only his teammate can get it, leads him, and gets him an easy basket. Bruce Brown's another guy who's been playing really well for that team in KD's absence and has given them a lot of defense, some hustle, and a surprising amount of scoring. And he seems to be someone who's developed a pretty good chemistry with Harden too. And you see here again, just being in the right spots. I mean, he's a guy that I know Nets fans from the ones I've spoken to, they love him. Um, and again, you know, you get Harden going downhill, he's gonna be able to finish at the basket, right? And that's what I really like about I think the way he's been playing recently. The 3-point shot is still there; he can make it, but I feel like he's not settling for it as much as he did in Houston. Um, you know, he's able to just get downhill and either get to the free throw line or go for the floaters, and he had a lot of floaters last night, right? I think this is a situation where maybe in the past, he gets around the screen, and then once he sees Pirtle here, he might bring it back out and you know try to go ISO, step back. And again, that's still an option, but I love it when not only Harden but players see a big man on them and they attack them, right? And he's able to just go right at him, just out powers him, or overpowers him. Really nice move. Again, the efficiency is there. And I also think this is something that he's doing a better job of as well. He's catching the ball on the move. So, you know, off of simple actions like screen, or pin down screens, off ball screens. And a lot of times in Houston, he would just either bring the ball up or just get it, you know, all the way out here. And then you have to, once you get the ball out there, you have to do your, you know, crossovers, your step back, you go ISO, and it just takes so much more effort and time to do so. But there's 15 seconds in the shot clock left, right? So it's early offense, and you know that's a big staple of Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni's offense. But I know it seems like a really simple thing, but him just coming off of the screen here, they get the mismatch. Patty Mills on him. They set another screen, so that turns out being a double screen. Gets downhill, and then they have to pretty much decide between giving Harden a layup or giving Claxton another dunk. And Harden at that point is just going to read the defense, and he's skilled enough and smart enough to make the right decision, and he does it here. But I do think he has more off ball action and is just able to get the ball off of screens and pin downs, which is making things a little bit easier for him as well. Again, if you're not putting your best defender on him, he's still gonna just blow past you. But again, not settling for step back threes. You know, not going for the highlights, just getting the most efficient shot he can get. And these are all things he's always been able to do, right? It's not like he just learned how to do it. He's able to do it. I don't know because again, Mike D'Antoni's still there, so I don't think the schemes or the offense has changed that much. But I do think he's making a more conceited effort. Maybe it's just because he trusts this Nets roster and team more, but I think he's just playing a more selfless, fun to play with brand of basketball, which is something he's always had the ability and talent to do. But I think things are just coming more together for him now. Um, and you know, we didn't even talk about Kyrie, who's been playing well himself. But and I know Channing Frye said this, I think, on NBA TV last night, and it's something that we've all said since the trade really happened. But James Harden, when he was in Houston, was someone that got doubled a lot, was being hedged really hard on, and you want to take the ball out of his hands, right? You could do that because, and not even all the time, because you still had guys like Chris Paul and Russ when he was a bit better, and even a guy like Eric Gordon. So it's still difficult, and that's why Houston was able to score so much. But you really can't do it with this team because if you do it, right, and I know KD's not playing right now, but when he comes back, you are either forced to play James Harden one on one, which for 99 point probably 5% of the league is a matchup nightmare. You probably only have, a handful of guys who can not stop Harden, but just make it difficult, stay with him and contain him without needing extra help. And then you if you don't want to do that, you bring another guy to double, you hedge, and then you're pretty much saying, all right, we'll play 4-on-3, or I guess if you're the defense, 3-on-4. We'll live with the result having to guard KD and Kyrie being two of the four guys you have to guard, right? And then you still have Joe Harris, who's one of the best shooters in the league. And then you just slot in an athletic big like DeAndre, who's not the athlete he used to be, but still an athlete, and or a guy like Nicholas Claxton, who's been getting more minutes recently. Um, so that's it's something we all talked about when this trade happened, but you're starting to see more of it recently, even without KD, just how difficult it is because you either let James Harden go 1-on-1, or you let Kyrie, Joe Harris, DeAndre, Bruce Brown, those guys play 4-on-3, and regardless of what you think about some of those guys, you still have Kyrie, and they're still solid basketball players. And yeah, I mean it's rough as a defense because you're Popovich, right? In this game, Popovich is considered one of, if not the greatest coaches of all time, and I mean you're really just left with not a lot, not a lot of options. And the Spurs aren't even a bad defensive team. You have some solid defenders, some athletic guys, some length, but I mean, you just really don't have a lot of options. Yeah, you're not left with much. It's difficult. It's difficult. And I think Brooklyn, while their defense is still by no means great, and I think their defense has been a bit better over the last week, especially during this 10-game win streak, or not win streak, but 9-1 stretch over the 10 games. And yeah, they're still scary, right? They're still scary. Once they get KD back and they're fully in effect, hopefully they all three of them can stay healthy for a long period of time, because you do. I'm not worried as much, but you want them to be at their best during the playoffs, and that's not just health wise, but also just chemistry wise and trying to figure it out. This team right now doesn't need KD back in terms of winning games right now, but you do want to make sure that everything is all set in stone for, whether it's minutes or just where to be at certain times, so they can all play off of each other to the maximum efficiency. And then just again continuing to build the trust and chemistry on defense, because that is something that they struggled with earlier on in the season. Are they the favorites to win it all? You could argue that, and I still have LA. If AD can play a bit better than he did to start the season, he wasn't playing awful, but I don't think he looked fully like himself. But I think LA, just with their depth and defense, could be, or is probably still scary. There's some other underdogs. I know Utah, they're number one in the league right now, but or at least were, and they're gonna be a team that, I've said this over and over again. I'm really just judging off of how they do in the playoffs, because they've struggled at times in the postseason. Teams like Portland and Denver might make some noise. You have the Clippers, who have a pretty good record, but I retweeted a stat earlier this morning that talked about how they're pretty much bottom, bottom 10 in the league when it comes to fourth quarters. A lot of stats, whether it's field goal percentage, points, win percentage in close games, stuff like that. They're still not a great team when the pressure is on. And after the disastrous fall out of the playoffs they had last year, I'm not really concerned about what they do in the regular season. It's another team where I'm just need to see them do it when it matters, right? And I still have a bit, some concerns over their mentality, their toughness, and their perseverance. So we'll see about that. And in the East, you have teams like Philly, and then if Boston can pick it up again when they're healthy and get Marcus Smart back, Miami certainly looks better over the last month or so. So it's tough to see, but I mean, I think you have to put the Nets as the favorites in the East. They're just playing great basketball. Milwaukee's another team, but they've been up and down this season. And if they can continue to play this brand of offense that's not just ISO, but everyone's getting really efficient shots, and it's not just your turn, my turn kind of ISO ball, but really a full team offense with guys who are capable of going ISO, and then they continue to improve on defense. I mean, it should be Nets Lakers, right? But um, the Lakers have had some struggles. Maybe I'll do a video on that later this week or something. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm really excited for Brooklyn to just keep playing the way they are. I'm a Knicks fan, so I don't want Brooklyn to win, but I just want good basketball, and Brooklyn is showcasing that right now. That'll be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those things. It mean a lot. On Instagram, we are keep underscore hoop or keep underscore it underscore hoop. And on Twitter, we're keep it hoop blog. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.